Today I'm talking with Hannah from Grenfell James to discuss the hot topic of making tax digital. We're going to answer the questions we are frequently getting asked right now by operatives. Hannah, an expert in accounting, is going to help break this down for us. So Hannah, question number one, what exactly is making tax digital?
So making tax digital, or MTD as it's known as, is going to impact the sole traders and landlords from April 26 onwards this year. It's a requirement from HMRC to submit quarterly digital submissions of your income and your expenses via a MTD compatible software.
So they're not mini tax returns, they're just simple reports to HMRC letting them know on a quarterly basis what your expenses are and what your earnings are.
Yes, basically. So there's no payments due each quarter. That still remains as January and July if payments on account come into effect. So it's just 4 submissions that show what your income for that quarter and what your expenses for that quarter was.
So who exactly does this affect?
So this is going to affect from April 26th the sole traders and landlords that are reporting 50,000 of taxable income or more. From April 27, that will be 30,000 of taxable income or more. And then from April 28, it's 20,000 or more. So it's going to bring people in stages depending on your taxable income levels.
For somebody considering using Grenfell James's app, can you talk us through the cost involved? Understandably, a lot of the questions we're being asked at the moment is around the fee and the pricing structure.
Yes, so we're offering 3 packages, but before I talk through those, it's just to mention that any software costs you're going to incur or potentially additional accountancy fees that relate to MTD from April 26 onwards are tax deductible and they can be accounted as an expense in your submissions. We're offering 3 packages. The first one is £10 a month. That is the essentials, which is basically just the software and you do everything. You're processing, data capture, all your sales, reviewing, reconciling and then submitting. So there'll be some how-to guides around that, but that's pretty much similar to you doing your own tax return at the moment, but it's 4 submissions and your annual tax return. Package 2 is our enhanced option, which is basically a midway point. You put the data in and review it, and we will look at it at the end of each quarter, check it's all correct, and then submit that for you. And then our package 3 is our complete offer, which is basically use the data in, take a picture of the receipt or forward it on via an email. Then we process it, we review it and we submit it for you. We'll let you know of any missing information, go through the queries and just do that deep dive each quarter to make sure we're capturing all the expenses possible.
If I'm a sole trader earning over £50,000, when do I need to think about getting started?
So we'd strongly advocate you get ready this April 26 if you're at that 50,000 threshold. So that means getting set up with your software, getting familiarised with it, and then building those habits to capture the data little and often. So you'll have an app on your phone and you'll have an email address in, so you can send your supplier invoices directly into the software. And as you're out and about with the receipts, so you might be at your merchants for your supplies, whether that's tools or materials, when you've paid for that expense, you get a receipt, you can take a picture of it, and then that sends it straight to the software. It stores it digitally, so HMRC accept that, so you don't need to worry about keeping the piece of paper, as long as it's just double check it's gone into the app okay.
Subcontractors, they're going to need to have access to their government gateway, I assume, make sure their password is ready, they've got their ID number, things like that.
Yeah, so we would say to get ready, and the information you'll need to have ready to put into the software is your government gateway. If you're going to be doing your submissions yourself, you need a government gateway. That's an ID and password to log into HMRC's portal. You'll already have that if you've been submitting your own tax return each year anyway, so you don't need a new one. You then just need your national insurance number, your email address, and they'll probably just ask for some personal information like your date of birth and your address, just to check that that aligns with your HMRC records.
So what do you recommend individuals do to start building healthy habits from April onwards?
So I think the first thing is get familiarised with the software. So that's going to entail a data capture side of things and a direct email inbox. Then you can, on your phone, grab the copies. If you're going to your merchants for some supplies, you can just take and zap in a copy of the receipt. You don't have to do anything with it there and then. You can just then leave it and maybe at the end of each month review. The first thing with the software is once you've put the supplier in there once and told it what it is, then it will remember that. The onboarding and the onerous bit is the initial first quarter. So once you've kind of gone through all your suppliers, your receipts, your sales, it will learn who they are, what that relates to, and basically effectively what box in your tax return that should be allocated to, whether that is a direct cost or administration or motor expenses, etc.
Yeah. So to start with, there's going to be a little bit of manual data entry from individuals, and then it'll be auto allocated.
Yeah, that's it. So the data capture will capture the supplier, the date, the amount, things like that, but it won't know whether it's a motor expense, a direct expense. Your merchant probably are going to be tools and materials. So you just need to tell it that is what that was for, and then it will remember that for the next time.
Another question we get asked quite a lot is about any kind of miscellaneous costs. So any costs that they incur that don't necessarily come with a receipt.
There's two quite common ones with this, one being mileage. So we're seeing, especially in the sole traders, a lot of fuel being claimed incorrectly. So if you don't have a commercial vehicle and it's your personal car or van maybe, you can claim mileage rather than fuel. So it's tracking that mileage correctly and claiming that mileage accordingly. So you can claim 45p a mile for the first 10,000 miles and 25p a mile thereafter. With one certain example is that we had a big bag of receipts for a tax return at the end of the year. Some of the receipts of the fuel were faded, some were missing, and actually they didn't have a commercial vehicle within the trade. So we went through a mileage log with them, and they actually claimed nearly £3,000 additional expense through the mileage log. So it was all pure business expenses, and it would have been omitted had we not gone through that process. So this is really going to hopefully break that down, track it quarterly, and make sure you're capturing every single expense possible. And then the other one is obviously use of home. So if you do anything at home for the business, whether that's raising your sales invoices, tendering, going out to contract, maybe just a bit of administration of your mailbox that day, this is going to count the preparation for MTD. If you do anything like that, whether that's 1 day a week, we can do a use of home allocation, which is up to £6 a week from HMRC. I think a lot of people are seeing this as an administration burden, but actually from our side, our message is it's going to be little and often. If we help you build those correct habits, you're probably actually going to capture all the costs, the correct costs, and have no omissions to make sure that you're reporting your taxable income accurately.
Not necessarily all of the subcontractors that Hudson pay have an accountant. They might not necessarily have needed one to do the return in the past. Some might have their friend or their partner just do the books for them. Can that still be the case with Making Tax Digital, or will they need to employ an accountant to comply with the new rules?
We would strongly advocate to have an accountant just to make sure, as I mentioned, there's no omissions, you're compliant and regulated. Also, they can deal with any HMRC inspection, which can be quite time consuming sometimes. But for this, no, you can still do your own submissions, you can still do your own annual tax return. We would just say maybe check how long that's taking and whether the fee element outweighs the administration and your time in respect to that. Now, our software option is £10 a month, but we know it's going to be fully compatible. It captures all the data, so it stores all your receipts. So as an example, if you were to have a HMRC inspection in the future, we know that is all there on the system, ready to go, and HMRC can come and have a look at it and review it, and everything's all stored in one place. Also, it's that additional support. So the software only option, there is still that access to us if needed on an ad hoc basis as well.
What would you say to people that are receiving advice that to avoid Making Tax Digital, the best thing to do would be to transition from a sole trader to a limited company?
We would say, what are the commercial justifications and reasoning for that? If it's just simply to avoid MTD, it's filings each quarter, that's not really a reason. It also brings into the mix companies' house filings, additional costs. So we would say seek some additional advice, look at the justification and the commercial reasoning for it, and not just base it solely around MTD and the new requirements that are coming into place.
And not to forget, there's also IR35 implications to consider there as well.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you very much for coming in, Hannah. It's been really useful. One last question. What would your last piece of advice be?
Do not wait. I think get ready, get ahead of it. Whether you're a contractor with subcontractors or a subcontractor yourself and you're not sure where to start with MTD, then please get in touch with us. We're here to help.
Save yourself a headache. Get started now.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you very much for your time.